JFK Jr. was an American attorney and he had his own publication, but he was mainly known as the son of JFK Sr. There's a show called The Love Story on Hulu, and basically it follows the life of JFK and Carolyn. So far, it's the rave of the town, and everyone wants to talk about it, but mainly people want to speak about his fashion sense. That's what I've been seeing from most influencers. And they talk about how he was ahead of his time. But the question I have is, was he actually ahead of his time, or was he inspired by somebody else? We're going to figure that out in today's video, so please leave a like and subscribe. JFK Jr. is an icon for his grid looks, and he won Best Looking Man of the Year in 1988 for People's Magazine. His father passed away when he was 3 years old, and he started a non-profit organization for disabled children, and it was called Reaching Up, which helped them with their education. He unfortunately passed due to a plane crash, and he didn't fly with a co-pilot. But if you guys want to learn more about his life, you can check out the show. I believe it's on Hulu, or if you're in Canada, it would be on Disney+. Now, if you're frequently on TikTok and Pinterest, as I am, your boy always stays on there, you'll find that most fashion creators and TikTokers and pages have been raving about Caroline Bessette and JFK Jr.'s fashion sense. And I get it. It's usually what happens when you're dealing with popular shows, movies, artists. The fashion always comes with those things. And I don't even have a problem with people being inspired by JFK Jr. The main issue I have is, why are you inspired and who inspired him? And why are you giving credit to somebody when other people have been dressing like that before? That is the problem I have, is that they're making him seem as though that he is the originator when he's clearly not. But this is common and has been happening for so long, where black people and other minorities have practices or styles, and white people take them and try to reclaim it as their own. Then they try to sell it back to the communities as well, which is very audacious, but I can give you examples of this as well. We have it from yoga to matcha to jazz. Even now they're trying to claim hot pot, which is like crazy. And there was a whole discourse about that in regard to lots of white people going into Asian markets and shopping there now, as if for years and years they've always demeaned Asian markets and never stepped a foot in there. But all of a sudden now you're into hot pot, you're into matcha, you're into having a Chinese morning, whatever that means, and you try to gentrify it. The same people who used to criticize your culture will take your culture and tell you that it was never yours. It's clearly revisionist history at its finest, and we've been seeing it for centuries. This is important because in his youth, he dressed like your average Ivy League kid or your average aristocrat. But when he started living in New York, for the most part in the 90s, you can just clearly see how his style has significantly changed. There's a style called Black Ivy, which is basically black people's interpretation of like ivory look, and you can clearly see he's inspired by that. People say that he inspired brands like ALD, Aimé Leon Dore, and the answer is clearly no. As a matter of fact, brands like Polo Ralph Lauren, who is one of the best, if not the best, American brands, were constantly inspired by American history and took from various communities and cultures. Now, here's the kicker. When it comes to ALD, they were inspired by the history of New York, and Teddy Santis, who's one of my favorite designers, his interest in hip-hop, his Greek heritage, and street culture growing up in Queens, New York. I don't understand how people are getting that notion that he inspired them when he was just copying what was going on at that time. And he referring to JFK Jr. He was never the benchmark at all. Black Americans are really a major blueprint in fashion and all the styles that people try to emulate. So I'm gonna do what's important and give honor where honor is due. Most of the styles that you see from people around the internet are from New York. It's a New York style, specifically cultured and curated by black men. So like Black Ivy, all that type of stuff, and black women as well too. Gotta shout out the black queens. For example, most of my uncles and family members dressed like this back in the day. Some of the people who embody this type of style the most, and the most that you've seen on record, are the following people. You have Michael Jordan, Kadeem Hardison, the Wayne brothers, Omar Epps, Denzel Washington, Wesley Snipes, and so many more. But the three people I'm gonna say that I like how they did it the best are Michael Jordan, Kadeem Hardison, and Denzel Washington. Although I'm a fan of LeBron, Michael Jordan is one of the most influential, if not the most influential athletes of all time. And people always sleep on his fashion because in the 2000s it got really, really bad. But in the 90s and the 80s, he pretty much embodied athleisure, and he took it to a level that people might go back to now. You can see him wearing Kangol hats with a Nike sweatsuit. He made Armani suits look effortless for a tall guy, and he dressed really cool in the 90s. And if you compare him to a lot of brands, you can see how they took inspiration from him. I would say if you look at Fear of God Essentials and you look at a lot of his practice gear, you can see the influence there. Being a figure in sports and having one of the best shoe lines of all time put him in the forefront of, because in my humble opinion, the best people who are stylish wear the clothes that they use every day as part of their lifestyle, as part of their role. And it's meant to be a good medium, a happy medium between form and function. Perfect. So Kadeem, best known for his role on A Different World as Dwayne Wayne, you can clearly see his style is influenced by where he lived in New York. You can see based off of his character, he took what he knew from New York and brought it to how his character would dress. And that's probably what a college kid would have wore in that time in the 80s to the early 90s. Now, I think his style does get overlooked ever since I watched A Different World. And I would say his iconic piece of clothing that he would wear at that time, especially in the early seasons, was his flip-up glasses, and it's a staple in TV history. But yeah, Kadeem Hardison, especially if you look at Pinterest and a lot of his outfits they put together, you can see JFK Jr. definitely took inspiration from that as well, because that's how Dwayne dressed. But Denzel Washington, perfect. He's a perfect example of when it comes to style, because you can see the direct influence, especially when it comes to his airport fits. And Denzel is just trying to be Denzel. Like, he just makes the clothes look effortless on him, and he's not even really trying. It's just he's wearing the clothes aren't wearing him. You can see the contrast with the blazers and jeans, snapbacks with leather jackets, Letterman jackets with trousers. That style is what you see a lot of young adults trying to emulate today. But don't attribute it to Denzel, but they will attribute it to JFK Jr., and that is a serious problem. We can see that a lot of people get inspired by historical figures. I do, you do, we all do. Especially through television, it helps conveys what people actually wore back then. However, sometimes history gets rewritten and stories become forgotten, and that is not warranted at all. It's always important for us to correct errors and give a true depiction of our experiences and stories, so somebody else won't tell them for us. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. This is just a little, my thoughts on the whole JFK Jr. fashion craze that's going on. So let me know, do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Let's have a discussion in the comment section down below. And till next time, your boy DD's out of here. Y'all stay suave, live long, and prosper. You feel me?